everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We've got another caller, and we're going to learn a lot from him today. He's got some great questions from us. His name is Voomsy. He comes to us from Atlanta, Georgia. Voomsy, thank you for calling in. How's everything in Atlanta?
Things are doing great. I appreciate you giving me a chance to talk to you, Joe.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time, and I understand you've seen the YouTube channel, and we appreciate you watching that. What's your first question you've got for us today?
Yeah, so to get right to the point, I'm a young guy. I'm a sophomore at Purdue, and so I'm 19 years old, and so I wanted to know how to get into commercial real estate because I'm thinking about getting my license, or I'm taking the test in August. And so I'm looking at residential versus commercial, and residential does have, it seems like it has an easier break-in, but I can see a lot more value add and just, I guess, personal growth in commercial real estate. And so I've kind of set my mind towards that. I want to know what's like the first step I should take after I get my license to, get my foot in the door in the industry.
Well, I'm a little partial. George and I have done both. We've done both residential and commercial. Actually, we did real estate auctions first, and then residential, and it just wasn't a good fit for us. The weekends and the open houses wasn't a good thing for us. And with commercial real estate, you can always build a business. If you're a true entrepreneur, you can build a business in this industry. Every time you sell a house, you've got to start over and find a new client. If you do a lease with an office or retail tenant or industrial, 3, 5, 7 years, they're going to need you again to renegotiate that lease or find them a new location. You can hook up with a real estate investor and keep selling them properties. But so I really think in commercial real estate, you really have the opportunity to really build a business. But to get started in commercial real estate, Voomsy, I really lean toward, and that's because I didn't have one, was a mentor. Finding a mentor, knowing your path, what direction you want to go in commercial real estate, and finding somebody doing exactly what you want to do, and then approaching them and bring something of value when you approach them. So, like I said, I'm the prime target for it because I'm not very tech savvy. I know the business, I know how to go get the business, but doing the online marketing, LinkedIn, all the social, putting all the proposals together and all that, I'm not great at it. But the thing is if you can bring value to that and bring that to the older person, that'd be the best thing. Find something that brings value and bring that to them. So it really, if you got somebody like me and you can bring them tech and save them a bunch of time, then I think that would be the best thing that you could do. Or anything that you could bring a value to a good mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, I completely agree. I mean, I think a really good mentor, if you can find one, is a great way to be able to increase your learning curve, or rather, make a much steeper learning curve. At the same time, I think that what you're doing right now is probably one of the best things that's out there that you can do, and which is going to ask questions. And if the person that you're talking to, hopefully you find the right people. If they can't answer the question, most of the people that are in the industry and good will actually help and try and point you in the right direction at least. Don't be afraid to ask. Always ask. I think that was one of the things that when I first started off, one thing that I was afraid to do and didn't want to do because I was afraid to either not appear knowledgeable or whatever else. So I didn't ask the questions, but I ended up costing me a lot more time of research at night trying to catch up. What did he mean by that? Don't be afraid to ask. I don't think the expectations of everybody, especially when you're younger, is you're there to learn. So and the old saying is, I don't know what you don't know, so if you don't ask me a question, I'm going to assume you know it.
There's one thing I do want to give you a good piece of advice that we get from people that went to a large firm. If you go into a large firm, they're going to partner you with a senior, and then you're going to do, cold call and marketing, and then you're going to bring a deal in, then you give a good percentage of that away to your senior when the deal gets done, and then plus the company split. So if you want to really get making money, I highly suggest, the big firms are great and you can learn a lot there, but if you need to get making money, I suggest you really talk to some smaller firms. I don't want to say boutique firms, but smaller firms where you can go in and start doing deals but mentor with somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that you know it really depends on what you're looking for. The big firms are really good for those that are perhaps not that want a little bit more corporate structure, a little bit more structured. Some of the smaller firms and regional firms tend to be a little bit more entrepreneurial. Utilization of guerrilla tactics and other means to actually get business, so they do things a little bit more fluid and a little bit more quicker. They adapt to some of the changing times, so that can also allow for a lot of opportunities for someone that's young like yourself.
Okay, I see. So no, yeah, thank you for explaining the difference between a large firm and a smaller firm. Yeah, I can see how culture would play into what kind of knowledge or education I'm getting at each firm.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and some people thrive at those large firms, and you know, because they need the structure, they need to be kind of told what to do, how to do it, and this is what you're going to do every single day. But others, you know, it stifles them, and then they end up hating the industry, thinking that's the only way business is done, and it's not.
If you're really an entrepreneur, you know, and you're going to be a really go-getter, you know, then, because this is a business, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And, you know, it's, if you're an entrepreneur, I just like to see you look at a little bit smaller firm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what's,
So my next question.
yep, go ahead.
So my next question would be is, if you could give yourself any advice right when you were starting out, other than getting a mentor, what would it be as like a brand new CRE broker?
Wow, that's a really good question. You know, and I just heard this last night, and I just said this at lunch today because I was watching, I don't know what it was, but there's a quarterback going into the NFL, and he was asked very similar to this question. What is the worst piece of advice you got when you were going into it? And he goes, well, it's not really advice, it's just something that everybody kept saying, is how hard it was to be in the NFL, how to get in the NFL and really, really do well. And so the reporter asked him, well, why do you think that's wrong? He goes, because what I learned later is I am not that person. I don't know what their work ethic is. I'm a quarterback, he was a lineman, or, you know, they were another position. He goes, I don't know how much effort they put into it. I don't know if they were a better athlete. But the bottom line is, you know, don't listen to other people, because I did. Commercial real estate, it's so hard to get into. All you're going to do is cold call every day. And there is a lot of truth to that, of course, but it's also really evolved the last couple of years in that, you know, where you're young and you're making these contacts in college, you want to make sure you've got your CRM and you're building it right now. Every contact you're getting in college, you want to put that in your CRM and capture it. And, you know, you want to start building that base up now. And, you know, and then as you go, you keep adding on, and then you start working your social. You're going to know how to work your social networks, and, you know, build that up. You have time to do it. And your alumni, make sure you're getting involved with your alumni right now. So, you know, there's a lot of barriers that you can just blow through right now by doing the work. And so my thing is my best advice is don't listen to everybody else. Go with your own path and work like hell.
Yep.
You'll do fine.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about work ethic. It makes up for quite a bit of things, including mistakes sometimes. You know, I think on my point of view, I mean, one of the, and I completely agree with Joe, but also, you know, I wish someone had told me to invest earlier and sooner, and really showed that. I mean, the household I grew up in, it was a very conservative when it came to investing, and, you know, cash was king. You know, even to the point of keep it in your mattress and in purses. And I'm surprised that, you know, they didn't have a little cubby hole in the wall, my parents, where they hid the money. But you know, that was their mentality, and that also carried over to me. I had wished some of my people I'd worked with and worked under and for would have advised to, you know, start investing a little bit earlier, and how to do that investment side. Because, you know, the wonderful part about commercial real estate is you get to learn about investing in the real estate on someone else's dime. You know, if you're working with investors, you see how they're doing it, but you want to also ask them and approach them, what are they doing? You know, I'm not just here to find properties kind of thing. And learn from them as well. Take everything in, not just from the company, but also from your clients. And, you know, use their experience and utilize that to really springboard your career.
It is. Just, again, I want to reiterate, just don't compare yourself to anybody else. Set your own path and know your work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. And so my next question is there like a specific deal for to you guys in your like career so far, or one that you're working on right now that's memorable or it touched your biggest lessons in commercial real estate? If you guys can talk about it.
Oh yeah, there is one. It was actually our first really big deal. We started a real estate auction company with a guy that we were in our late 20s, and he put us in charge of his auction company that'd never done an auction. And honestly, we came from a company, well, this is kind of a funny story. So George and I worked together at a company here in LA. It was an auction company. I was in the marketing department. He was in the closing department. And they were doing an IPO. They got caught fudging the numbers in the IPO, so I got moved into, and they did some layoffs. And I ended up getting moved into the closing department. George is my boss. Lo and behold, a few months later, he ended up laying me off. So, and then he got laid off a few months later. And so, he then came over. I was at another company then. It was called Fred Sands Realtor. We started a company called The Sands Group. And starting to do real estate auctions. And I was just getting started. I found out George was getting laid off. And then he called me and said, listen, this is what happened to me. I'm thinking about, looking at other work. I'm talking to you about your company you're at. What do you think of it? And it was a startup auction company. I mean, when I say startup, we had a little, what do you call those little Macs?
One of the very first Macs.
One of the first Macs.
I don't even know what they're called.
I'm trying to run a business.
Kind of wish I had them now. I saw one of them sell for some ridiculous price.
But we started going after real estate auctions, and we never actually done an auction ourselves. But we ended up just cold calling all day, every day. We'd get in the office at 7:30 in the morning, start calling back east, and then work our way to Hawaii. And we were calling on bank first. It was for foreclosures is what our focus was, that and developments. Calling on banks, and by the end of the day, we'd have to stop around 4 o'clock and then start. There was no internet at the time, so fold the letters that we'd written out to everybody who got in contact with it, put them in the mail, and send them out. But there was one client we specifically wanted, and so there's this lady that was there. I got her name, and I just started calling her, and I started calling her every day. And this went on for almost a year. I mean, this would be on Saturdays and Sundays. I'd leave voicemails with her, and it got to be humorous. I mean, it was a little bit psychotic now, or crazy, I guess, now that I hear myself say it. But I just called this lady all the time, and it got to be where she just picked up the phone one day. I was going down the 405, and my manager at the time had a brick phone. I don't know if you've even seen those, but Motorola brick phone. She called him on that. How she got the phone number, I'll never know. And she asked for me, and it was crazy expensive back then to get a phone call on those, but he gave me the phone. She goes, okay, hotshot, I'm going to give you a chance. We're going to give you 60 properties to take to auction. And I will never forget that day, because I just want to cry, because to call somebody that much and but was able to make it a positive message every time. And we ended up doing 600 or 700 properties a year for that company for several years after that, until they ran out of inventory. And so that was probably our most memorable and maybe our craziest, but it really got our company started. And we just owe it all to that one lady that was willing to take a chance on two guys that had never really done an auction before. And then once we were done with the auctions, when that all kind of petered out, that's how we ended up in residential, and we just couldn't get out of that quick enough. That just wasn't a good fit for us. So we started doing commercial. Yeah, I don't highly suggest calling anybody every day for almost a year. I'm not saying that, but
nowadays they have restraining orders.
Yeah, now they put a restraining order on it. But that lady and I are still friends,
Yeah.
And but it was just, I had everything to gain, and nothing to lose. Is the way I looked at it. So.
Yeah, and for me, what I love about commercial real estate, and unfortunately I can't go into the details right now of exactly what we're working on or who, but it allows us to help really shape the future of a lot of cities and what's happening. We were working very closely with some of the newest stuff coming in. I can't tell who, but I can tell what. Like right now we're working on unmanned aerial drones to taxis, unmanned aerial drone taxis, and locating spots and areas. And this is years out, so we're already working on that now to get it set in place so that we have a start date of 2024. And people aren't even aware that we're actually at that area now technology-wise. We're just, right now the drones are actually just waiting for certification from FAA. So we're already working on the infrastructure of where they can go, what they can do. There have been numerous times that we've done that with different clients. And that, I think, is some of the most exciting part, because you can actually see a city shaping and changing almost before anyone else. You're part of it. It is a sense of kind of fun and accomplishment, and at the same time, it's the future.
What George is working on is going to change Los Angeles.
Yeah.
You are going to see manned drones flying around LA in the next few years.
Yes, manned, and then a couple years after that, they'll be unmanned.
They have to be manned for a couple years, and then they'll be unmanned.
For safety, yes.
But it's incredible what's coming. And, being in commercial real estate, we know what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, this confidentiality agreement kind of ties us up a little bit. But, it's great. It's fun. We worked with the Boring Company here in Los Angeles with Elon Musk and his crew. That was exciting to do that. That ending up in a lawsuit with the city or a homeowners association, and they got them stopped. But they're going strong in other cities and doing a lot of great things there.
That's insane.
Yeah.
A lawsuit.
Yeah, a lawsuit by the homeowners association, and it's the Brentwood Homeowners Association, I believe it was.
Yeah, I think they threatened more so than anything, and it was just it got tied down in all kinds of bureaucracy between that and different cities and tunneling through different cities and rights of ways.
But it was just amazing dealing with people like that. Some of those employees of that company were absolutely genius.
Yeah,
it was fun being around that. Very exciting.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my next question is, so getting more to the logistics of being like a commercial real estate agent, what would you recommend I would do to go out and get my first deal per se?
Did you grow up? You grew up in Atlanta?
Yep.
Okay. Your family, your sphere of influence is where you're going to get your fastest deals. Your sphere of influence, everybody that your family is, family and friends, people you've worked with, that's where your business is going to come from the fastest. So you want to, as soon as you get licensed, you get it hung, you need to let them know that, get yourself up on the company website. This is where I am, what I'm doing, and you let them know that this is it. This is what I want to do with the rest of my life. How can I help you? If they say, well, you're too young, well, I've got a mentor that I'm working with. We will get you taken care of.
Yeah.
And so you just start building your business off of that. And then start cold calling, start working LinkedIn the way it's meant. LinkedIn is such a powerful tool that you really want to work at. If there's a company you want to get into, then go into LinkedIn, see who's the COO of that company or whatever, CEO, CO, depending on how big it is. Find out who it is. Obviously, you want to connect with them, but see if you, on your LinkedIn, have somebody that's connected to them, and then reach out to them, say, hey, do you actually know this person on LinkedIn? If so, could you make an introduction? And see if then it becomes a warm call. So really work your LinkedIn the way it's meant to be worked.
Okay. Any other questions?
Let's see. I guess other than that, I think I'm good. I think I got a lot of value out of this conversation. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you for calling in. Those are some great questions.
Yes. Great questions, and if you do come up with any other questions, always just feel free to reach out.
Yeah, reach out or get me on LinkedIn, and I know you're on LinkedIn because you're very good at it. And you know, let's definitely stay in touch. Keep me posted on your progress. And I'm actually we are probably going to be doing an affiliate with a really good brokerage there in Atlanta in the next couple of weeks. And you know, if you're wanting to go make an introduction, I will definitely do that for you. Okay.
I appreciate that, Joe. Yeah, I'll take you up on that in a few weeks.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Boomsy, thank you very much. And then for everybody watching, I hope this helped. And please do feel free to give us a call. We're happy to record this because we think this can really help a lot of people that are really wanting to get into the real estate industry. And if you haven't done so, please do subscribe and make sure you like the video. Thank you.